Netflix, you don't need cable. Hop on YouTube, welcome to the hood table, where we chop up local and global events vocally. You don't really wanna miss out on these conversations. Just joke a little, laugh a little, get that wine in your system, fill your glass a little. Expose current events, talk trash a little. You never know, these opinions might clash a little. They addicted to the content, got them binge watching. You don't like it, then you want invited. Bet your friends watching in the house or in your job parking lot before you clocking. They don't wanna miss a second of this HT content. Everybody think they got something to say, so it's an open invitation, bring it to the table. But if you come whack, just know we ain't buying in. We gon' probably turn your back and tell you sorry, try again, Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable. Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hood Table one more again. It's your girl back with another live coverage of a trial. In this case, it is the Diddy trial. Thank you for those of you who joined me on my last show, which was about 15-20 minutes ago. We just finished a review of Power Season 4, Episode 9, Kanan. That was a very good review. Very good. Last episode of Kanan was very, very juicy. A lot of stuff was going on with that. And from what we are hearing so far in the Diddy trial, a lot of that shit is juicier. So make sure you guys like and share the video on your way in. Please make sure you subscribe to the Hood Table. If you want to drop down in the chat, if you've been watching, or, you know, I know we can't watch it live. I hate that, but I understand because of a lot of the graphic nature, sexual explicit stuff that's coming out and going to come out. I can understand why they're not playing it live, but as well as not showing all the images and footages and video and audio, you know, to everyone in the courtroom. And also now we hear that they're not going to be showing some certain things to the press as well, and the press is upset. Okay, so we're going to talk about all that. But yes, make sure you come on in, like, share the video, please, and thank you very much. But I want to go back to when the prosecuting team first started putting together their cases. Witnesses started coming forward, alleged victims started coming forward, and they were basically saying this is not going to be like everybody is not going to be all together as far as, like, you know, the charges and everything like that. They were saying basically it's all going to be individual cases filed individually. It's not going to be a class action lawsuit. And what we had first learned was that they were going to basically expose all the enablers, no matter who it all implicates. I don't know if y'all remember watching that live, but basically the attorney was saying they're going to expose the enablers no matter who it all implicates. I don't know how much of that will be true. How many people will be implicated. I know today we heard from Cassie, and they was asking her, you know, who all were like the main people around you, the main parties around Diddy. She was naming security guards. She was naming assistants. You know, she was naming people within close reach of Diddy at all times. So they did say, you know, last year or a couple of years ago that they were going to make sure that they expose all the enablers. That has to be a lot. Now, this is what a lot of us wanted to happen with the R. Kelly trial, with Kel's trial, right? But it didn't seem like really not too many people was implicated. And we know that that was a total, basically, empire as well, you know, but the only difference is Diddy had people who were underage as well. In this particular case, it seemed like everybody was of age that Diddy got down with in the freak-offs and the abuse allegations. But anyway, almost 300 people had contacted that attorney, and after screening many people, they said the floodgates open, and they were now repping 120 people who are bringing civil claims against Diddy and other defendants as they file the individual cases. They felt like most people were afraid of retaliation. They were scared to come forward from fear of scrutiny, even from family and friends. But they also said you'd be shot, to the length fans will go, no matter how much evidence is shown against a celeb. And we see that all the time. No matter how many allegations, no matter how many, they can have evidence up to the wall. And you still see how the length that fans will go, to still support these celebrities. And in Diddy's case, in Kel's case, he is the king of R&B. He done made some music for him and for other people. And some people, they just look past all the other shit that he's done, and they still continue to support them. Not all of us, but some of us. But even at that time, a couple of years ago, when this case was start getting on his feet, even the attorney had been threatened. And they told the people who were scared to come forward, if you are a victim and you have been victimized, you are not alone. It is great strength in numbers, and we promise that we can help you. That's what the prosecuting team was telling people a couple years ago when this all started. But they were basically saying that they needed corroborating pictures, videos, text. They checking venues. So if you said Diddy did such and such to you, if this is such and such concert, they want proof. Do you got pictures you was at that concert? Do you got text messages? Do you got receipts? A lot of people keep their copies of their tickets. So they was checking for dates. They was checking for legitimacy. They was checking for merit. They wasn't just taking anybody's words that Diddy done did it, okay? Diddy done did it to a lot of people, but they wasn't taking everybody's words that Diddy done did it to them. So they definitely was, trying to make sure they had all their ducks in a row, okay? Because that can really mess up a case if you got just all kind of people just coming up there talking about, yeah, he did it to me too, and then they put it on a stand and just all blow up in their face. So yeah, they were working with detectives on major victims, abuse, because it's really hard to prove cases like this without proof. Really hard. And they were up against some major people, some, major players in the music industry. So basically, we had knew that the ages of the victims were ranging. This is allegedly. They had alleged a 9-year-old. They had alleged a 14-year-old. And they had alleged a 15-year-old. I don't know whereabout we're going to hear about those particular victims that they're alleging was underage. Now, Kells, there was a lot more than that. That was the only difference with Kells. There was a lot more underage people. With Diddy, they said there's a couple of them. Again, I don't know if they're going to be early on, later on, if they even going to put them on the stand. I'm not sure. But they said 25 of the individuals are minors at the time of the act. Now, I don't know. A lot of people was like, they ain't believing all that. They ain't believing that there was 25 of them. Okay. That's why I keep saying allegedly. Even today, I heard somebody in the press say the difference between Diddy and I'm sorry, I think my mic had went out. Hey Taylor, man, how you doing, baby? Yes, they should. They should definitely check them. But I even heard the press say today that the difference between Diddy and Kells was the age range of the people. But they claim like 25 of them was victims. But see, when we heard about this in the beginning, we ain't heard about none of those people since then. So that's why I said I don't know where about in this trial is they going to end up. In the beginning, it's moving fairly quickly, right? We done already had like 2 people testify yesterday. We had Cassie testify today. So it is moving fairly quickly. And I'm glad about that, because hopefully this trial won't take forever. It won't be like weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months before it. But yeah, let me know if y'all having a problem hearing me though, because my sound had went out for a second. So let me test my cell phone that I have here on the right side of me to make sure I can hear myself. Okay, I think I'm coming through good. So yeah, so anywho, they said there were more victims after 2015. But again, they said a lot of the victims were fearful to speak out. So That basically was something that we had heard, when this first hit the fan, after we saw Cassie get, and it's not a joking matter, but she did get fucked up in that hotel. Okay, I'm gonna just say she did get fucked up in that hotel. One thing I heard somebody say today was that Cassie had plenty chances of leaving. They also said when Cassie did leave, it wasn't like Diddy was chasing her down or stalking her down. But then I heard other shit too, like he was trying to make her come back. So anyway, we right at the beginning of the of Cassie testifying. I heard a lot of what went on today. I don't know if Cassie's going to take the stand again tomorrow. I know they had ended today around, what was it, like 2:30? That's New York time. So I think they ended today around 2:30, about an hour or so after lunch. So I'm not sure if Cassie's going to continue or not today, because I kind of stopped watching and listening around that time because I had to work and I had to prepare for my power review. But if y'all know for sure, let me know down in the chat. But okay, so again, this is not a class action suit. It's individual cases. Each case, they said, maybe filed in Cali, maybe New York, but most were filed in New York and some was filed from LA. And they said most people thought that he was going to name names in the press conference, but some of the people was Jane Doe, John Doe. Matter of fact, one of the victims still wants to remain Jane Doe. She does not want her name to be revealed. Okay, so one of the victims still wants to remain Jane Doe. But they said some of the names are going to shock us. Some of the names is like going to be a long list of enablers that are going to shock us. And I'm waiting to hear who those enablers are. Because again, like the R. Kelly trial, a lot of us wanted a lot of those people in his camp to also be prosecuted. And you see what we got. So we never understand why somebody can have a ring like this going on with illegal activities and all these enablers, people turning an eye or even being involved with the abuse. And only one individual really gets hit hard with jail time or prison time, and not a lot of their enablers or assistants or bodyguards, security guards. It's kind of weird. I don't understand that. I will never understand that. It's like you could be working for somebody and doing all this kind of dirt for them, with them, to other people, and then you basically safe. You don't have to worry about it. Oh, they're going to get him. He's the big guy. He's the rich one. He's the boss. So I don't have to worry about it. And then they can go on and maybe do the things that they are doing to another employer. So the facilitators of a lot of the foul play and a lot of the foul conduct, they be getting off. But they told us they will be revealed. A lot of the enablers and the facilitators, the participants will be revealed. So I'm looking forward to finding out if they're going to hold true to that. Because they were saying not only will it include individuals, but corporate entities. Corporate entities that profits off of the banks. Like, they're talking about banks. They're talking about pharmacies. They're talking about hotels. Because where Cassie was beat up and stomped and dog walked and mollywhopped in that hotel, that was right at the time they was having one of those freak offs. When she tried to get the hell out of there and jump on the hotel. When she came running around that corner with no socks on and in that hoodie and the sweats and trying to get on that elevator. And then Diddy came around behind her and snatched her and kicked her and dropped her on the ground. She was running from one of the sexapades. She is running from one of the freak-offs at the hotel. The same hotel that was offered money to turn another eye or sell Diddy the tape or the recording of what had went down. A lot of those places were paid cash. The pharmacies, where they was getting a lot of the drugs and maybe the baby oil too. They was getting paid cash. Typically $10,000 in cash, and then told to leave or threatened to leave. So it was a lot of facilitators who had something to do with it. Okay, and they said anyone who engaged or in exploitation, anyone who participated, encouraged, a spectator who didn't stop it, any venue or venue owner who was aware and didn't stop it, any individual or entity that knew but didn't do nothing, any individual or entity who covered it up and who helped cover it up, okay? And they said, you know who you are, might as well come forward. You can't hide the skeletons in the closet forever. And then even if you delete your text messages, your emails, your inboxes, your DMs, okay, all of that stuff can be retrieved, okay? All right. But they said most of the people was typically lured into a situation where he had given them laced drinks. Cassie did testify today that a lot of the times they were given drinks. They was given mollies. A lot of the times they even asked her, how many sex assaults do you know that you participated over the years? She was like laughing like, do you think I can remember that? I was high most of the time. Even the stripper, whatever it is, the prostitute, the escort, okay? Even he testified that Cassie was knocked out or sleeping sometimes when Diddy wanted him to have sex with her. And Diddy would say, okay, I guess we gotta wait. It ain't gonna happen today. You know, we'll hold off to tomorrow. But she was always high on something. So they were saying that he laced people drinks, and once the drink takes effect, they perform all kinds of sex acts and many times passing them around and leaving victims ashamed. Cassie did say that she was ashamed. They asked her why she didn't leave. She said she was ashamed. She was ashamed. But one thing I heard that escort say when they asked him, they was like, why didn't you do it? Why did you? He was in fear of his life. He said there was a point in time where Diddy was beating on Cassie, throwing bottles at her, hitting her in her head, snatching her out, cussing her because she wasn't doing exactly what he said and when he said and how he said it. And he said he was in fear of his life, but he kept coming back. For years, he kept coming back. He was all the way on the other side of town, on the side of the, United States, miles and miles away. But he kept coming back. Now, he claims that he had told Cassie at one point in time, or maybe several times, that she needs to get away from Diddy. Run for your life, girl. You are in danger. Now, how you telling, see this, I don't know how much I believe of this escort, because first of all, Cassie tried to slide in that she didn't know it was illegal what was being done. Maybe she was too high, but anybody knows that if you pay somebody for sex, that is prostitution. But again, maybe she was too high. I don't know. He been having her since she was 19 years old. When he got her, she was very young, very naive. She thought she was going to be this big old star, even though she wasn't even all that great. When it comes to music, he had promised her 10 albums. She got one and a couple of mixtapes. Anybody could tell that she was not about to be no 10 album artist, okay? She had a few hits. She had a few hits, but they weren't nothing like, I don't know, they weren't all that compared to a lot of other artists out there. They wasn't all that. But yeah, she didn't get none of those other albums that was promised to her. And the man had told her, this is where I say I don't really know how much to believe if you fear your life. It's not like you live there and you have to see Diddy every day, but they would like summon you every now and then you would come, and then you would get paid, and then you would do whatever Diddy wanted you to do, including urinating in her mouth. Now, I did not see that one coming. That just takes me back to Kells. I'm like, what kind of funky, nasty, baby oil slip and sliding shit y'all was doing up in that motherfucker? Pissing in your... I'm sorry. It's... I would definitely have to be high as a motherfucking kite. I mean, high as all get out for somebody to urinate in my mouth. And one of these, I was listening to one of the people who work for the press. They work for a media outlet, and they were saying how they couldn't really say piss in mouth, peed in mouth. They had to use certain words. They had to say like urinated, but not in her mouth. They could say urinated, but not on her. And I was like, why can't you say he pissing him out? Like, out of all the stuff the press say, y'all can't say this motherfucker. Like R. Kelly pissed on that little girl. Everybody was saying that. So now we can't say the man pissed on this chick, on Cassie, or urinated in her. That is so disgusting. I mean, out of all the things you can do sexually, now I'm pretty open-minded. I ain't no I don't even know what to call it, but I'm pretty open-minded. Okay, I'm pretty open-minded. I ain't gonna do everything, but I'm pretty open-minded. I might try something once, see if I like it. If I don't like it, I'm gonna tell you I don't like that shit. Let's go back to the regular scheduled program. But pissing and urinating in my mouth or anywhere on me or near me, if it ain't in a toilet, like or next to a tree, because we too far from a toilet. But no, yeah, you definitely got to be really, I don't know. Maybe she wasn't. But anyway, they were saying that once the drinks take effect, again, they perform all kind of sex acts, and a lot of times passing them around and leaving victims feeling ashamed, confused, injured. And when the victims reaches out, then they are threatened with bodily harm or financial repercussions. One thing that a lot of people were saying, not just Cassie, but other people were saying too, was kind of like the same thing. See, there's a lot of similarities with him and with Kels. Like with Kels, there was the threats of revealing explicit photos or videos, blackmail to keep them quiet or to keep them doing what they want to do, to keep them trapped. And it sounds like the same type of thing was with Diddy too. It was a lot of coercion and threats and blackmail with images and pictures, because they were being videotaped without their consent. Pictures, just, all kind of compelling evidence. Okay, so they were saying violence, sexual assault, rape, sexual abuse, facilitated sex with controlled substance, false imprisonment, compelling prostitution, sexual misconduct, false imprisonment, sex abuse of minors, and simulation of video recordings. Did I just say that? Video recordings, okay? All right. So, what they're basically is trying to say is that Diddy not only did, see, they when they put this indictment together, and let me pull that up real quick. When they put this indictment together, okay, for count one, because they didn't want to charge him for too much, because when it comes to these type of cases, you can easily do too much. So they couldn't just say, oh, we saw the videotape of Cassie, let's get him for abuse. You know what I'm saying? They putting it out there that Diddy can be very, very angry. He doesn't like being told no. He's very jealous. He can become really enraged when people don't do things that he asks them to do or how he tells them to do it. But they couldn't just stop there. So that really has not a lot to do with the case. Of course, Cassie, she's testifying because of the fact of their history, because of the fact that a lot of other people are saying that he's abusive. And to a lot of other claims like the prostitution, the coercion, the sex ring, the trafficking, things like that. Did I say prostitution? Okay. And so that's why Cassie is there, because basically she's like basically backing other testimonies. So they're going to put her out there first, especially after we already saw the video footage in the hotel. What up, Mary Carey? How you doing, love? But yeah, so that's why Cassie is out there. But as far as the indictment, it was basically racketeering conspiracy. The grand jury, they basically said for decades, Diddy abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on his employees, and that's why the prosecution team said they're going to get all the enablers, and we're going to be surprised about all the names that's going to come out. But anyway, he relied on employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in, attempted to engage in, amongst other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor. Let's not forget about the forced labor and the kidnapping, y'all. Forced labor and kidnapping. Arson. Now, I forgot about the arson. I don't even remember. Can somebody please bring it back to my recollection? Bribery. I know he was doing a lot of bribery, allegedly. Obstructing of justice. But the arson, I just can't remember what took place when it came to the arson. But anyway, number 2, they said he operated his business headquartered at various times in Manhattan and LA under a variety of United States-based corporate entities, including Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprise, Combs Global, and the Combs business included, among other things, record label, a record recording studio, an apparel line, alcohol experience business, marketing agency, and a television network. And they were saying at all relevant to the indictment, Diddy, I love how they say Sean Combs, AK Puff Daddy, AK P Diddy, AK Diddy, AK PD, AK Love. I almost forgot that he had went by the name Love. And when you look at all the shit that he is allegedly done and all the accusations and the victims, and he had the nerves to want people to call him Love, how could you call somebody Love who allows somebody to piss in their woman's mouth? But anyway, the abuse was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. And as part of his pattern of abuse, he manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers, aka prostitutes, aka what does that man call himself? Escort. But I still can't get over the fact that Cassie said in court that she didn't know that was illegal. I didn't know that it was illegal to call somebody up and tell them that my man will pay for them to come up here and have sex with me and do all type of other explicit shit for my man so he can jack off while he's watching us. But she didn't know it was illegal. Anyway, but they said from at least in or about 2008 or about the date of filing this indictment, Diddy and other people like members and associates of his criminal organization, members and associates of the Combs Enterprise attempted to engage in, among other activities, sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement, to engage in prostitution, narcotic offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Again, they have to reiterate that. But you said demonic, girl, yes. Demonic music is the whole industry, Carrie. The whole industry. And even the entertainment industry, movies and television, it's all like, I remember once upon a time when I wanted to go into television, I wanted to be a little kid star. I wanted to even sing. I was even in a singing group with some homegirls and my sisters, and I wanted to make it big. At that point in time, I had no idea of the extent of illegal activities that a lot of people were involved in, coerced in, blackmailed or blackballed in until I got older. I even wanted to put my oldest son into the industry as a model, like, because he was so cute when he was little. And then somebody had even told me to tell my son to put his son as a model in the industry because he's just so adorable. By the way, he turned 4 today. Happy 4th birthday, Ace. But yeah, I talked to him today and sung happy birthday to him and made all my long ass Facebook posts and everything about my 4-year-old grandbaby. But yeah, today is his birthday. And my son, he was like, Mom, I don't know about all that because I'll be in jail. He said, ain't no court for the perpetrator. It'll be court for me though. He's like, I'll be in jail. He said, man, he said, nope. But and even the stars who have their parents there with them, a lot of the times, or have somebody, a caretaker, somebody to take care of them, watch out for them, they still seem to get involved with some bullshit. So yeah, it's a demonic, very demonic music industry, entertainment world, really. And I'm glad. Maybe nobody might have even wanted me like that, but I'm glad I didn't take the chance. God had other plans for me. I still don't know what they are besides decorating cakes. But I don't know, I'm being a YouTuber. But yeah, so I don't know, child. Anyway. So let's see here. Diddy trial, day one. We just gonna talk about day 1 and 2. A lot, like I said, I stopped watching shit around like 2:00. There's probably some stuff that came out that I didn't hear, and I'll just have to pick that up tomorrow, just like we do with any other case. If we find out something late in the day, we just discuss it the next day with the current events. But they were saying the public perception of Diddy, which is very true. The public perception of Diddy has always been, they called him larger than life musical icon, but others referred to him as what some people call a Jekyll and Hyde. As we know, he is facing a life sentence in prison. We already discussed it, but he is in there for coercing women into a drug-filled sexcapades called the freak-offs, or the Wild Kings Nights. Now, that's the first time I heard of the Wild Kings Nights. I always heard it referred to as the freak-offs, so that was new to me. I didn't hear that before. But yeah, they said sometimes the sexcapades lasted for days, for weeks, and the ladies would be just high as hell and drunk, laced on their ass, okay? But they're saying basically, prosecutors, they're trying to get the jury to believe that he has been or is known for sometimes being very violent to the women of his life, which is why they had Cassie on there early on. They did even discuss with her about that shit that happened in the hotel. But for over 20 years, like 25 years, he's been committing these crimes, including arson. But the defense is saying, okay, yeah, so he got anger issues. Yeah, he maybe needs somebody to talk to. Y'all remember that shit after the videotape finally came out of Cassie getting her ass kicked in the hotel? Then he hopped on his Twitter. Was it Twitter or IG? He hopped on his social media platform looking like, I'm just going to do this and get it over with. I know these motherfuckers ain't gonna believe me, but I have to do this because this is what you do when you're a celebrity, when you're a public figure, and you fuck up. I fucked up. I knew that I shouldn't have done what I'm doing. I have been in counseling. I have been in therapy, and I am not the same person that I was. You know the whole spiel. Didn't nobody believe that shit. This nigga came out and said that shit. Then next thing you know, Cassie got what, 30 million? Like overnight. Like, the girl deserved more than that, to be putting up with all that shit for all them years. Then with the promise of 10 albums, even though she can't sing that good, so I don't even know why she believed that. But the promise of 10 albums. But he was in total control of her career. He allowed her to make one album and a few mixtapes. He allowed her that. So yeah, that $30 million, she probably should have got way more than that, like maybe $100 million. That's like at least 100,000 for every ass kicking. Okay, that's what she should have got. But $30 million, I'm sure that helped her out, and she probably still got some left over for her and her husband can spend together. The same husband that Diddy hired to train her. Ain't that some shit? The same man. The same trainer that Diddy hired for Cassie is who she ended up marrying. And they got 2 kids and 1 on the way. She is in her 3rd trimester, showed up to court today. They said she was looking all beautiful too. 3rd trimester, you know how you be glowing at the end of your pregnancy? They said she had her hair done. They said she had Hold on. They said she had what they said she had on hold on. Let me get to it because I want to make sure I read exactly what they said. Okay. Because Diddy sitting up there with a head full of gray hair, right? While he's sitting up there with a head full of gray hair, Cassie is up there looking all beautiful. They said she had on a long brown dress, and they said she had on what color lips? Did they say she had on red lipstick? And hold on, they said she was looking very much of her third trimester. They also said that when she came in, she didn't look at Diddy at all. Now, Diddy is known for manipulation, right? Manipulating. And they were saying how he was staring at her from the entire time that she stepped foot into the courtroom. So from the time that she stepped foot in the courtroom, he had his eyes on her. He was on her and trying to basically, I don't want to say this. I don't want to, this is what I believe. Okay. You know how some people, they be trying to intimidate you, trying to manipulate you, and they be staring at you all hard as fuck. They said Diddy did not take his eyes off of that girl the whole time she was in court. But she, at not one time, stared over at him. They said she didn't look at his kids. She didn't look at his family members. And she was laser focused. She kept her eyes on the prize. The people who was asking her questions, the attorneys who was asking her questions, and just ignored him. But yeah, they said she had a long sleeve brown dress that went down to her ankles during her court testimony. They said she had a little white manicure. She was cute. She was cute. Now, of course, it wasn't live, so we're going by like the images as well because they got an artist who's drawing the pictures of the people, on the stand. And hold on, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Hey, Jay knew he was definitely trying to intimidate. Yes, a defense tactic. He sure was. Now, this is just a artist drawing for the courtroom. Okay, y'all see her? All right, there it is. And they were saying that at one point she broke down crying as she testified during the second day of trial today. So there's like the long brown dress that she was wearing. But Cassie has always been a beautiful woman, so I think no matter what she showed up in, she would have looked her best. It's court. You got to present, that you there and you about business. And everything was about business from the first day to this day. As far as the questions they asked, as far as how she answered the questions, there was one point in time where they did say that she kind of like, had a little giggle, had a little laugh. Because they asked her, because, Diddy had basically promised her 10 albums, a 10-album deal, and she only had one. And so they was like, why did you stop recording music? She was like, is that question for me? Even when I heard the media outlet explaining this, I started laughing. Because the real person you should probably be asking is Diddy. She was talking about, you really asking me why did I stop recording music? She probably stopped recording music though, to be in all honesty, because he had everybody high, all the women that he was fucking with, he kept them high. And this, I'm telling y'all, rest in peace to his beautiful, one of his baby's mothers. Rest in peace. Kim. But I heard a lot of allegations after she passed away and more allegations after that video came out about Cassie. I just child, I don't know. It kind of hit different after I saw the video with Cassie, because the first thing I thought about was, if he doing this to this girl and they've been together all these years, all this, just like, okay, remember with Andrea Kelly? Remember how she was saying certain things that Kels was doing to her? Like, it wouldn't be a stretch to believe that he was doing the same exact shit, if not worse, to his wife. I would believe it. I definitely would. And Jay New said, "Hey girl, if anyone has any hold up. Hey girl, yes. If anyone of you have ever done jury duty, the defendant is close to stare you down." Ooh, really? Hey Room Shaker Boo, how you doing? I did not know that, Jay New. I mean, I know why people do it, but I didn't know they were kind of coached to do it. So thanks for sharing that. And I've never been a juror. Let me knock on wood. I'm knocking on wood. Y'all heard me. Knock on wood. Because I don't want to be a juror. I know people who have friends, family, even my sons have had to do jury. Again, let me knock on wood. Because it'll just be me talking up here. I ain't never had it happen before. And then next thing you know. So yeah, I ain't trying. I ain't trying to. But yeah, Cassie was not trying to give Diddy the satisfaction of looking at him so that she could possibly feel intimidated. So yeah, they said she kept laser focused. Even when leaving the stand, they said she did not look over there once. When they was dismissed for lunch, she did not look over there not once. Okay? Go, Cassie. Don't let that man intimidate you, because that's exactly what he's trying to do. You get up there and you tell your story and you share what the fuck you want to share or whatever they want you to share. But yeah, the whole time the jury was listening intently to all the witnesses so far. We know the first person who was up there was the one of them was Philip, and the other one was, let me go back to my notes. Okay, so one of them was Israel Flores. He was basically the security at the hotel. He had took to the stand to describe the night that Diddy was kicking Cassie's ass. March 5th, he received a phone call about a woman who was in distress. The witness claimed he claims to see Diddy sitting in that chair. We'll never get that out of our imagination, right? That image out of our mind of him sitting in the chair with that white robe on, just looking crazy, looking devilish and evil, like he wanted to kill her. That's how he was looking in that chair. The man said he was looking devilish. And we saw Cassie with that hoodie on, barefoot, trying to go down the elevator, leaving the child. Now, I've been following this shit for the last few days, but did she ever say why she left the freak off? Because what I heard her say was the abuse that day didn't start until she got caught at the elevator with him. So she must have been scared, must have didn't want to do anything, tried to get away. But what she said was it didn't start till she got to the elevator when they was asking her on the stand. But yeah, she was attempting to get on that elevator and he started dragging her, kicking her, stomping her, pulling her by her hair. And the witness also had recorded it on his cell phone. And again, Diddy and his peeps tried to coerce them into selling them. They offered them money for the tape. They were like, shit. Diddy probably thought that tape was never coming out, boy. It had been a couple of years. He probably thought that tape was never coming out. Shit. I'm surprised he didn't do something really ruthless to get the tape, if you know what I mean. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that was the former security guard at the hotel. And then they later heard from Daniel Phillip, who claims that he saw Diddy physically abuse Cassie, the one who was paid to have sex with them, or Cassie. Again, Cassie says she didn't know it was illegal, but they tried to shut her up when she was saying that in the courtroom. She was like, I didn't know that was illegal. Again, I don't know what rock you. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she didn't know that it was illegal for Diddy to pay that man to have sex with her. I don't know how she could have figured that, but child, like, do you know what a prostitute is? That's just like, did she think that just because he was a man? Like, if a man pays a woman money to sleep with him, that's a prostitute. Everybody know that bitch a prostitute. But because this was a man getting paid to have sex with her, she didn't put two and two together, saying this is illegal, we committing a crime. But maybe not, because Diddy had been committing crimes for the last 15, 20 years and putting his foot up in her ass. Shoot. Again, this is no jokey matter. But maybe she could have had a couple of sales up there scrambled. Who knows? But anyway, after opening statements, the 12 jurors, 6 alternates heard from the prosecution's first witness. They heard from Israel, and then they heard from Daniel Phillip. Daniel Phillip, again, at one time said that he had told Cassie she was in danger and that she should get away from Combs, but he kept coming back. He even claimed that he was a fear for his life, which is why he didn't make any reports or come forward, because he was in fear of his life. Now, again, I don't know how much of that to believe, because the man was being paid really, really good, right? He made more than $6 million. More than $6 million. The male sex worker, aka escort, aka prostitute, made almost $6 million. Well, more than $6 million. He was paid between $2,000 and $5,000 for each sexual encounter. And of course, sometimes Diddy gave instructions, would tell him what to do. He would tell Cassie what to do, including telling that man to pee in her mouth, urinate in her mouth, which he probably got from Kels. You can't tell me that him and Kels probably didn't throw some shit together. You can't tell me Kels pissing on people, Diddy paying people to piss in his own woman's mouth. You can't tell me that them niggas probably wasn't getting down with the get down together either. You can't tell me they wasn't. Shit, yeah, he bought an $800,000 house, but he claims that he was a sex slave. Girl, he claimed that he was a sex slave. A sex slave who, after each escapade, get to fly all the way back home. A man who was scared of his life, fear of his life, who got to fly all the way back home after each escapade, and he kept coming back. Every time Diddy would tell Cassie to call him. And then it's crazy because when Diddy first had Cassie call him, his boss, the escort's boss, said, oh, it's a couple. They need you to come and dance or perform or something like that for a bachelorette party. Then when he got to talking to Cassie, she was like, oh, ain't nobody getting married. Ain't nobody getting married. We just want you here to have sex. My man wants to watch. And he wants you to, me and you to, do. And he gonna pay you. But again, Cassie said she didn't know that was illegal. But yeah, $2,000 or $5,000 every time. He able to buy homes that's almost $1 million, but you was a sex slave and you was scared for your life. See, that's why a lot of people don't be believing folks when they be like, oh, I was so scared. I didn't want to tell. I was in fear of my life. And I was forced. That's one reason why they don't like to believe a lot of them. Yeah. But anyway, the sex worker, he shared graphic details of Diddy's freak offs. And then he again said he warned Cassie. The second witness, he's a 41-year-old, Daniel Phillip. He said he was paid in exchange for sex performed in front of Diddy. Also that he claims that he forced her to have sex with male sex workers other than him. I wonder how many there were altogether. Because as many freak offs and as freaky and as many baby oil bottles that nigga got, I'm sure they probably use more than one sex worker. But some of them probably got paid a lot of money just like this one. They probably like, I'm good. Shit. Yeah, it was fucked up what he was doing to her, but shit, I didn't put my kids through school, bought my mama and them a house. You know what I'm saying? I was paid really, really good. But yeah, he was paid to do a male review show. That's what he is known to be doing. That's what his main line of work was. But again, he found out from Cassie, it wasn't about that. When she showed up wearing her high heels, red lingerie, sunglasses, and a wig, and said, my husband wants you to do something with me, something special for me. And the baby oil came out right away. They were slipping and sliding right away with that damn baby oil. He made them get doused in baby oil. Not just a little bit, not putting a little bit on your hands and just rubbing it on your back and massaging your back. He made them get doused in baby oil and other lubricants. He wanted to make sure they was greased and oiled up real good. One of his fantasies. We saw how many baby bottles they found in that damn nigga's house. I was like, why the fuck he got so many goddamn baby oil bottles? Like, who need that many baby oil bottles? And that just tells you right there how many people was involved on a regular basis on these sexapades, these freak-offs, or what they call King's Night, aka King's Night. He looks nasty. If you really look at Diddy, he has this look, and this look became more clearer to me after the Cassie incident. I always thought he was a little funny looking, you know, his little weird little head. I always thought he was a little funny looking, his mouth, you know, his eyes. He just got this weird little look. But now, after the Cassie shit popped off, I was like, that nigga, he's a nasty ass manipulating demon who happens to be a freak as well. Yep. But anyway, Cassie had told Philip that her husband wasn't gay and wouldn't attempt to touch him. That's what the man said on the witness stand. But he did claim that Combs gave him a few more $1,000s as a tip before he left. And then following that night, Philip said he was paid to return a few more times. He was paid $7,000 again to have sex with Cassie in front of Combs at different locations up until 2014. And these interactions will last anywhere from 1 hour to 10 hours. Can you imagine being forced to have sex for 10 hours? That requires time and a half, right? That's like overtime. 1 hour to 10 hours each time. And the man said he was excited. He was so excited to be in this world of celebrities. P. Diddy? Like Cassie first didn't tell him who the man was. His boss didn't tell him who the man was. But he said he overheard his voice and he knew right away that it was P. Diddy. And he said, I didn't even care if I get paid one way or another. That's how excited he was to be in Diddy's presence, to be fucking Diddy's girl, urinating in her mouth, being recorded and all this shit while Diddy sat in the corner jacking off. He said he didn't care if he got paid. Yes, I always thought he was on the spectrum. No, for real. I ain't gonna hold you. I feel you on that, J New. I definitely feel you on that. He's a weird looking. But yeah, so then he testified that on a couple of encounters, they were recorded by Combs on a cell phone camcorders. And at one point in time, now remember, who else did this? Kels did this. Not only did he record people, but when people came to his house, the first thing he did was take their license and he took copies of their address. He also, this is what Kels did, he also asked them for their parents' information, their children, their next of kin, their friends. Kels got the deets on all the people in their life. And also took pictures and copies of their license. Of course, it was for blackmail. And then he had the pictures, the camcorder, along with that. Yeah, that's called coercion. That's called manipulation. But yeah, he thought it was weird. They asked him, why didn't you leave? Why? Because I was scared. He even described when Cassie would be passed out. We talked about this earlier. She would be passed out so high on the couch. And Diddy wanted them to have sex together. And see, this the thing. I don't totally believe. Y'all can let me know how y'all feel about this. But Phillips claims that during those times, Diddy said, I don't think this is going to happen today. Now, as crazy as Diddy is, how he get those women high out their mind, will some of them be passed out? They don't be knowing what the fuck they doing, who the fuck they doing it to. Cassie said they'd be so fucked up sometimes, and the people just be ashamed once they come to and realize all the shit they done did, all the nasty shit they done did. So you mean to tell me that if Cassie was passed out, you didn't still have sex with her? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I don't know. What y'all think? I don't think this man is being that truthful. I just don't think he's being that truthful. But who knows? Who knows? We weren't there. But if we could have been a fly on the wall, well, we'd probably be soaking wet with baby oil if we was a fly on the wall. But yeah, the recording the sexual pleasures, that the first time he would have done that, I wouldn't have came back. But a lot of times, see, that's the thing. These people, they be around these celebrities. Now, I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about how a lot of celebrities, like there got to be hundreds and thousands of celebrities that knows about his shit, right? But they never say anything. Some of them, even after all this shit, the indictments came out, after his homes got raided, they was like, yeah, we knew he was doing shit, but we just never went. We knew that he was, comedians, Cat, William, a lot of people, we knew what the fuck. We heard about the rumors. We heard Diddy was bi. We heard he was gay. We heard he liked to have these freak parties and be fucking everything in sight. Men, women, everybody drugged up, baby oiled up. They heard about the shit, but people just kept to themselves. Like, that, I ain't going. I ain't going. But you said, I don't think he's being transparent either. No. Maybe, because he said that Cassie told him that Diddy wasn't gay. But from what we found out, Diddy is either gay, bi, tri, fluid. Maybe he's fluid. Maybe he's one of those people who is attracted to a lot of different type of people. Maybe that's it. Nowadays it's like so many. I remember back in the day, you was either straight, gay, or lesbian. And if the word trans came up, it would usually mean that matter of fact, the word trans didn't even come up when I was younger. It was like a cross-dresser, people who just dressed up as a woman for like a performance. Something like that. So then as I got older, as we all got older, it's like so many, like the alphabet just keep getting longer and longer and longer. And then a lot of times we might fuck up and say the wrong thing and we get just, Like, I'm sorry, we can't keep up. I'm sorry, we can't keep up. You know how you be at work? Like, sometimes I have work on my computer. I have little sticky notes all over my computer. Remember that, say this, you know. Like, you got to keep shit wrote down, sticky notes. Okay, I got to make sure I call this from the right thing. I got to make sure I refer to. Like, it's getting harder and harder and harder, child. Hey. Don't charge it to our heart. Charge it to our head, not to our heart. But I do try to respect everybody. I really do. I try to respect everybody. I try to refer to everybody what they want to be called. And even a lot of people at their jobs nowadays, we're taught to ask for people gender, where even in your signature, it's like his, her, they, them, you know, like sir, whatever. You know, a lot of people is being, you know, more making their pronouns more pronouns these days, even in the job world. So yeah. But anyway. But yeah, they said Philip, he the former male stripper, he struck up an unlikely friendship with Ventura. But he's expected to he had testified yesterday and today for the cross-examination. And what they had basically said was he was supposed to testify on Cassie's violent relationship, which he did. And again, he testified on things that he saw, her being hit, her being smacked at one point in time where she didn't do what Diddy want. And he said she ran off in another room and Diddy went after her. And he heard what sound like slaps and smacks and things like that. But yeah, so he is one of many who has actually witnessed something being done to Cassie, her being harmed. And of course, nobody did anything now that, you know, it's in court and shit like that. Yeah, but yeah, he had multiple sexual encounters. I mean, almost over $6 million. Sound like more than multiple, but they say he had multiple sexual encounters with Diddy recording them. Once or twice. He said once or twice. Again, I don't believe that either. I believe that Diddy probably recorded them every damn session because Diddy was known for recording and taking pictures. Matter of fact, they're going to show some pictures during the trial. But what they were saying today, and this is what I was going to get to also, the press is upset. They like, it's our right. We deserve to know as far as the footage. The press believes that the judge is wrong for not allowing them to, because what they're doing is the government, they have plans on showing some of the explicit tapes, the pictures, basically porn. But since a lot of people are there just to be nosy, just like I would be, let me be up there in New York somewhere and I could just slide on them, show up a couple of hours to get me a good seat on the bench. I'll be up there being nosy too. I'll be representing the hood table because I only covered a few cases locally around my area. But I would love to cover like a case like really big with people, this, you know, people like these type of stars or celebrities, you know, hot A-list, you know, celebrities and shit like that. Or even just regular old Joe or Jane, you know, a high profile case. I would love to be there and cover that shit. But yeah, a lot of people are just there to be nosy. So they're saying that only the people who need to know will know and will see and will hear. The jury is going to have like on headphones sometimes so that the audio that they need to hear, only the jury can hear. The people in the gallery, you know, the other people who are just there just to be there, they are not going to be able to see a lot of that shit. They're also sent the press because, I mean, I think that part is smart though. Now the press is upset, but I think it is, like they said, a big privacy issue because you are going to be looking at people sexual encounters, explicit. It's like looking at porn. That's what they're going to be looking at. And the media, they feel like they have every right to report on it, so they have every right to view it. So how do y'all feel about that? I understand the media feel like they have every right to report on it, and they do. But I do not feel like they have every right. They talking about this is our first amendment. But for now, it's a big no. It's a big amendment or whatever, however they feel. They right, however they feel. But they're saying the testimony isn't necessarily suitable for the images because the question of it being consensual or was it coerced. And if you're watching or looking at something that wasn't consensual, and then the press, when it comes to the press, how many times has the press done put out some shit out there that they should not have? How many times? So the courts is supposed to trust the press. Okay, if we show you this footage, if we let you hear this audio, these naked people having sex and all that kind of shit, whether it was willingly or coerced, you promise, you cross your fingers that you solemnly swear that you ain't gonna show it in your, like, how how can you cover that without, I don't know. Child, I don't know. So I feel the judge on that. Y'all there, y'all getting enough, y'all hearing enough. Y'all don't have to see the people having sex, all these sexual explicit images and hear. Just like if they have the recording of the stripper pissing and urinating in Cassie's mouth. Like, what like, is the press trying to say that the testimony is not valid without us seeing the pictures and the images? Child. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. But I want to shout out the people who are covering this trial, the people who are there. They said there is so many people outside the courtroom with cameras. There are so many people out there. One of the people who I follow, what's his name? Dennis. What is his name? Hold on, let me look it up real quick. Dennis Byron. That's my boy. He be at every big high-profile trial. From Kelly to a lot of trial. He travels to everywhere. And Dennis Byron, he's a YouTuber, he's a journalist, but he be there and he be reporting on everything. So I want to give a shout out to them and a lot of other media outlets, because they are giving us like live information because we can't watch it. So they are giving us live information. Some of the shit is like minute by minute, hour by hour. Like, let me read some of the footage. Some of the footage that they revealed today. Okay, let me go back. Let me scroll back up. Okay. Okay, let's see what this one talking about. They said Ventura was on the stand. I want to make sure I start from. Okay. So the question was, do you recall all of the free calls? And Cassie said that would be impossible. They said, did you want it to stop? She said, yes, I was humiliated. I didn't have those words then. I couldn't talk to anyone about it. They said that's one of the points where she started crying. And they said, did you tell him you wanted him to stop? And she said she brought it up gently. She didn't want him to just do it with someone else. Hold up. Hold up, swole up. She said she brought it to him gently because she didn't want him to do it to someone else. Were you able to express your concerns to them? Defense said objection. That's leading. Judge, rephrase. Why would you talk to him gently? Cassie said, I didn't want him to get angry. Okay. One of the other questions. Hold on. Let me go back up. Okay. So they asked her, security, he brought it himself. Escort Dave. Oh, there's another escort. Wait a minute. Let me go back up. See, some of these look like they're out of order. Okay. Security, or he brought it himself. Oh, they're talking about the escort. Like, how did he get paid? And they said the security either paid him or Diddy brought the money himself. And they said, why not a cop? And then Cassie said, I learned this whole situation was not legal. Objection! That's what I was talking about earlier when they was trying to shut her ass up. Because she up there talking about, I just learned that it was illegal to pay somebody to have sex. Judge said jury will disregard that last answer. And they said, how did Cash get there? And then that's when she said the security or Diddy brought it himself. And they said the escort, did you know his real name? And she said Clayton Howard. And they said, well, who is this? And she said, Daniel. What service did you use? A dancing service. It was not a dancing service. That was an escort service. That was a prostitution service. And that's why they got Diddy for prostitution. And then, see, the thing is, Cassie talking about, I didn't know it was because, sometimes that could possibly backfire on her. While you're being a witness and saying that he hired a prostitute to have sex with you, you're still part of the throuple. You're still part of the throuple. Even though you say you were probably scared. Even though the prostitute said he was in fear of his life. But he kept coming back so he can get every bit of that $6 million over time. Yeah, it's a lot going on, y'all. It's a lot going on. But yeah, y'all keep a lookout because it's going to be some more shit that's going to be coming hot off the press, y'all. I'm going to keep my eyes on this shit. And I'm going to take my notes and watch different media outlets, throughout the day while I'm working so I can come on here live afterwards and let you guys know what all we heard. And we can break down and discuss different things that we heard and different things that we seen online, even though we can't literally see what's going on inside of the courthouse. But we can watch other media outlets, and listen to them because every station, every media outlet, everybody is discussing this. Everybody. But But one thing I did want to say, now this was for, what time is it? 7:43? Okay, I keep forgetting. They an hour or so ahead of us. But it says right here, when it go back to the footage, they're basically saying they just wouldn't show the videos to the courtroom gallery. They will show the videos to the juries. They said the juries and everyone in the well will wear headphones, but the people in the gallery will not be able to hear because the materials are sexually explicit or involve nudity. And one has submitted a letter. Diddy docket selling salt. Sean Combs trial began talk of freak off video, now lawyer for Cassie. Late on May 12th, the lawyer for Cassie Ventura opposed any public or press views of the video exhibit. So they did submit a letter. Cassie's lawyer, she did not want the public, that means the people in the gallery, that means the press, did not want them to view any of that because it's embarrassing. It's humiliating. I don't understand why the press is going to bat to try to get the judge to allow them to get that footage. Now, the judge said, this is about evidence that is coming into the case. The public has a right to know what is happening at the trial. I don't see how we would navigate that concern. There's a potential impact of the jurors of signaling some evidence requires sealing. They were trying to seal the evidence, but they're basically going to allow the jury to hear and see certain things. Okay. Now, something else they were saying. You said Mr. Combs was directing, but you recall meeting the prosecutors on March 28, 25 and telling you didn't recall Mr. Combs giving directions about positions. Phillips says yes. The attorney says so he didn't direct. Phillips said incorrect. See, I told y'all this dude. I don't trust him. I don't trust shit he be saying. I don't trust shit he be saying. For $6 million, $6 million is enough for people to lie or fabricate the truth or tell little white lies. And then they asked him, "You only saw her inebriated once?" And he said, "I saw her pass out on the couch. Mr. Combs told me. I don't think it's going to happen that day." And they said, "The time with the other male, you rotated?" Philip said, "Not correct." The lawyer said, "You watch?" He said, "Yes." Mm-hmm. Then they got to talking about recordings. Basically, the attorney said, "I've handed up the GXB. Do you recognize it?" Cassie said, "Yes, I reviewed this drive. It has communication and documents pertaining to Combs." "Did you review photos on it?" "Yes." "What's the photo?" "Me in 2004 with Carrie Morgan." Cassie said, "I didn't know what no could turn into." "What do you mean?" "Making him angry." "What were you afraid would happen if you said no?" "So time he had blackmailed, though time. I wonder if that's supposed to say one time. Maybe that should mean one time he had blackmail materials. "What did you give the government?" "Ventura gave laptops." Cassie gave them laptops. Mm-hmm. Cassie said the free calls became a job. There was no time to do anything else but do them, then try to recover. Again, this shit would go on for days, if not weeks. You heard what they said with the escort. The sessions would, or the escapades would last from 1 hour to 10 hours. Cassie said the free calls became a job. Her job became having sex with all type of people. That's what happened. The free calls became a job. There was no time to do anything else but do them, then try to recover. Try to recover because you get ran through. You high, you drunk, your drinks are laced. And they said, "Well, how much time in your weeks will free calls take?" The longest was 4 days, significant periods of time. Mm-hmm. They say days, some say weeks, some say hours. Child. That is really, really sad. That is really, really sad. And the fact that they said that Cassie had plenty opportunity to leave. You know, when you high, when you always inebriated. If somebody is keeping you, it's kind of like the people who run trafficking rings. Like they say Diddy ran trafficking, but let's think trafficking rings. Like not celebrities, not free calls, just people out there snatching people up off the street. Or people making people work their money off that they might owe people. And the things that they do to them normally when they get somebody, when they get a victim, they immediately get to drugging them up. And they keep them high and they keep them drugged. The person don't be knowing half the time what the fuck they doing with the men or women they doing it with. And they stay high and they stay drunk. So I know they say Cassie could have left at any time. We saw what happened when she tried to leave. Now we heard what happened when she tried to leave. We actually saw what happened when she tried to leave a freak off at that hotel. And Diddy fucked her ass up in the fucking hallway. So I can't believe that Cassie probably tried many times to leave, but he was always get her ass back and snatch her ass back and drag her ass back. I'm glad she did leave. I'm glad she was also able to get $30 million out of it, even though I think that she should have got more money. Will she ever get more money in the future after this trial is over and done with? I don't know. Maybe she signed paperwork to basically it's one and done. You get this 30 million. You can't come for me no more. You can't take me to court. You can't sue me. So maybe Diddy had her sign something like that. But hell yeah, she deserves more than $30 million, whether she should have or could have left or not. I just think it's due to her. The nigga promised her 10 albums. He basically gave her one album and then basically pimped her ass out. You know, had her sleeping with, paying people to sleep with her, keeping her high and drugged up. Yeah, I think she deserved more than $30 million. But anyway, I'm looking forward to what the outcome of what we're going to find out in the next couple of days. I don't know how long this trial is going to last. But they did say they had a lot of witnesses, a lot of testimony that we are gearing up to hear. Different people we're gearing up to hear from. Again, they did say there were some minors. I don't know if those minors who are of age now, if they're going to be, I don't know if they're going to be all the enablers like they said. They said it's hundreds of enablers, and they said we're going to be shocked by the names that we hear. I really hope they get some of these enablers like they should have with Kels and with other different people or entities that get wrapped up in these type of crimes. The enablers, the security guards, the cooks, the chefs, the drivers, you know, the assistants, all the people who are involved in the circle. A lot of them should be prosecuted. I strongly believe that. And that's why some people are just not satisfied with what happened to Kels. They're like, fuck that shit. Why he got to do all that time by himself and not none of the people in his circle? I feel him. I do. But anyway, that's my little coverage, my little spiel on Diddy Day 1 and 2 trial. Please make sure you like and share the video. Please subscribe to the channel. If you are not already subscribed, please and thank you very much. And also, feel free to donate to the Cash App. The Cash App is $ the Hood Table 402. Also, if you hit the replay, if you're part of the replay game, please make sure you like and share the video. Also, feel free to hit the Cash App if you want to donate to the commentary or to the platform. Also, if you missed our Power Kanan review that we did before this show, we covered season 4, episode 9. I think it was, episode 9. So if you missed that, and if you're a Power fan, enjoy our Power Kanan reviews, please go back and watch that, red ball that back. We did that show like an hour before this one. Please and thank you very much. And on that note, as always, stay safe, be blessed, remain vigilant at all times, and always remember to keep it hood. I'm out. Bye.